under the shade of an outdoor cafe in a private Cairo club. Professor Kareem Kamel of the American University of Cairo bemoaned that the U.S. President Barack Obama continued the Bush-era rhetoric in his long-anticipated address to Muslims in Cairo on June 5th. Kamel, a 32-year-old assistant professor of political science, while sipping a lemonade at the Heliopolis sports club in an upscale Cairo neighborhood, had this to say.
However, beyond the symbolism, beyond the iconography, beyond these very beautiful words that he said, if you look at the content of the speech itself, I don't think that much has changed in terms of the actual policy of the United States in the Middle East.
Kamel objected to the priority given by Obama in his speech to fighting terrorism, and argued that blaming the extremists was to fail to tackle the root causes of the problem.
I think that this kind of rhetoric is still the same kind of putting the blame on extremists without what he called extremists, and not looking really at the root causes of why these movements have evolved.
Kamel, who specializes on the history of Islamic movements, explained that it was imperative to address these root causes.
If you don't address these root causes, these movements are going to continue to flourish because they cater for a group of people, a significant, sizable group of people within the Middle East who believe that both the United States and the pro-Western Arab regimes have not done enough for the Palestinian issue, have not done enough for the Iraqi people, have contributed to the subjugation and oppression that many Muslims feel. So if we simply stop and say, really, these people should be fought with power, with military power, these kinds of things, I think it's still going to backfire because he has not resolved, the root causes have not been resolved.
The young professor's colleague at AUC, Abdallah Schleifer, a distinguished professor of journalism at the American University of Cairo, thought otherwise and praised Obama's address. Standing in an unusually empty Cairo street, guarded by Egyptian soldiers waiting for Obama's motorcade to pass, Schleifer had just walked out from Cairo's university's main gates after listening to the speech.
I thought it was an extraordinary speech, perhaps the most extraordinary political speech I've heard in my lifetime, and he spoke truth to everyone, hard truths, and he certainly addressed these issues more than any other American president ever has. And no American president no Western leader, much less American president, has spoken to the Muslim world with such respect and such understanding as he did today.
However, Kamel explained that while the average Egyptian on the street embraced Obama's visit, they remained cautious. While Obama's words are welcome, people want to see what actions he will take.
In the Middle East in general, Arabs and Muslims are in a state of wait and see. All the reports that I've read and all of the comments that I have heard say, even the most optimistic ones, basically suggest, okay, Obama, we like what you've said, but we are in a position of wait and see.
Dr. Mohammed El Saeed Idris, a scholar at the Al-Ahram Center for Political and Strategic Studies, who also heads the Gulf Studies unit in the Al-Ahram Center, is one such critic.
The speech is just words. We want to see him do something. The main issue is that we don't see him confirm what he says.
Another critical voice was that of Ahmad Shams, a 28-year-old accountant who was spending his Friday off at the El Fishawi Café, or Café of Mirrors, in Cairo's famed Khan el-Khalidi Bazaar. Shams was born into a generation of Egyptians that has seen only one president their entire life, and as a result was keen to hear Obama's remarks on democracy.
We have people disappointed in relation to democracy because people thought he's going to praise the Arab leaders to spread the democracy and give us more freedom. People disappointed in this point exactly.
Kamel said that Shams was a typical Egyptian of his age who reflect, quote, the generation that has lived through his life has known nothing other than a situation of emergency law. He continued.
So this is a very important issue where you have a country in the Middle East which hosted Obama, a very pro-Western regime that has a very bad reputation in terms of authoritarianism and in terms of the kind of political stagnation that we find in Egypt as a result of the lack of a democratic alternative.
Kamel added that the United States had often sacrificed democratic ideals in order to maintain its interests. Obama's speech in Cairo was part of a continuing dialogue and outreach to the Muslim world since he took office in January 2009. That outreach effort was praised by one student, Shaye Fadel, who attended the speech in Cairo University's Great Hall. He was most inspired to hear Obama speak about the participation and success of Muslims in American society.
So I think that we should learn from the United States. We should learn that religion is something I can't impose. The religion is something really I have to believe my own self. No one should tell me. No one should tell me what hijab or no. He said we shouldn't focus on the difference between Muslim, between Christian. He said there is some point that we are common. We should focus on that, because it's easy to say, this is different between you and me, but it's always hard to find what's common between us.